Imagine a weapon whose shell alone weighs as much as a small automobile. A weapon so powerful that when it fires, its thunder can be heard from miles away, shaking windows in the distance. It takes days to assemble, requires thousands of people to operate, and even demands specially constructed railway tracks just to transport it. Yet despite all of this, why did this weapon fail to change the course of World War II? Today, we're exploring the incredible story of the largest artillery gun ever built, the Schwerer Gustav. This is a tale where engineering genius, military ambition, propaganda, and a multi-billion-dollar failure all collide. And by the end of this video, you'll discover the answer to a question that few people ever ask. Even if the world's largest gun existed today, why would it be almost useless on the modern battlefield? In the mid-1930s, Europe was once again standing on the brink of another devastating war. Germany was determined to break free from the restrictions imposed by the Treaty of Versailles, and Adolf Hitler had one overriding goal: to build the most powerful military force in Europe. But there was one enormous obstacle: France. Stretching along the German border was a massive defensive system known as the Maginot Line. Underground tunnels, steel fortifications, concrete walls several meters thick, and heavily armed artillery positions. Military experts of the time believed this defensive line was virtually impenetrable. It was at this moment that Hitler reportedly challenged the engineers of the Krupp company with a question that would change military engineering forever. Can you build a weapon capable of destroying these fortifications with a single shot? An ordinary cannon could never accomplish such a task. A bigger gun was needed. But Hitler didn't simply want a larger artillery piece. He wanted the largest gun humanity had ever seen. In 1934, Krupp's engineers began their calculations. Their first problem was obvious. If they simply enlarged a conventional cannon, the weapon would collapse under its own weight. The second challenge was recoil. The force generated would be enormous, creating tremendous stress on the structure. So the engineers came up with an unconventional solution. The weapon would not have wheels. It would not be mounted on a tank. It would not even be installed on a warship. Instead, it would travel on specially designed railway tracks. After years of development, the final design stunned everyone. It weighed approximately 1,350 tons. Its barrel stretched over 32 meters. Its caliber measured an astonishing 800 millimeters. Even today, these dimensions seem unbelievable. Back then, they sounded like something straight out of science fiction. Building the Schwerer Gustav required millions of hours of labor. Its components were manufactured in different factories. They were then transported by specially arranged trains. But once they arrived at the deployment site, the real work had only just begun. Around 2,500 personnel were involved in assembling the weapon. Railway tracks had to be laid. Massive cranes had to be installed. Each component was carefully lifted and connected. Preparing the gun for action could take several days. Security was another major concern. A weapon of this size was an obvious target for enemy aircraft. As a result, anti-aircraft units surrounded the area. Reconnaissance teams constantly monitored the skies. It took what was essentially a small army just to protect a single gun. Now let's look at the numbers. Because only the numbers can truly reveal the scale of the Schwerer Gustav. Each shell weighed around 7 tons. That's roughly the weight of a small elephant. The propellant charge itself weighed hundreds of kilograms. When fired, the shockwave could be felt miles away. After every shot, even the railway system supporting the gun had to be inspected. The forces involved were simply extraordinary. This wasn't a weapon capable of firing dozens of rounds every hour. Preparing each shot took considerable time. Sometimes only a handful of shells could be fired in an entire day. So while the Gustav appeared terrifying in theory, in practice it was incredibly slow. The year was 1942. The target was no longer France. It was Sevastopol in the Soviet Union. After months of preparation, the Schwerer Gustav finally fired in combat. Its enormous shells crashed into Soviet defensive positions. Several underground ammunition depots and reinforced concrete structures suffered significant damage. German propaganda celebrated the weapon as an unstoppable masterpiece. Newspapers praised it as an invincible superweapon, but commanders on the battlefield saw things differently, because there were far cheaper and faster ways to achieve the same results. Aircraft, smaller artillery pieces, massive coordinated bombardments, all of them proved to be far more practical. The Schwerer Gustav may have been one of the largest artillery weapons ever constructed. But war is not won by size alone. Speed, logistics, flexibility, these factors often matter far more. The Gustav required days to assemble. Moving it demanded a major logistical operation. Its enormous size made it easy for enemy reconnaissance to detect. Meanwhile, as the war progressed, air power became increasingly dominant. Instead of investing in one gigantic railway gun, dozens of bombers could accomplish similar objectives with greater efficiency. Today, many military historians view the Gustav as an extraordinary engineering achievement, but a strategic failure. Modern militaries no longer construct gigantic railway guns that require miles of track. Why? Because today's targets can be destroyed far more efficiently using precision-guided missiles, cruise missiles, hypersonic weapons, armed unmanned aerial vehicles. These systems deliver greater accuracy at a fraction of the logistical cost. Perhaps the greatest lesson from the story of the Schwerer Gustav is this: just because a technology is bigger does not mean it is better. The largest gun ever built remains a symbol of remarkable engineering ambition, but it is also remembered as one of history's most fascinating examples of a weapon that became too large to be truly effective. So here's a question for you. If you had been making the decision during World War II, would you have invested enormous resources into building this colossal weapon, or would you have used the same budget to produce thousands of tanks and aircraft instead? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.